Hello, I'm Dr. Semline Singleton, and I am honored to welcome you to our series, The Return Back to Haiti, Doing What Others Deemed Impossible. As a second generation Haitian American, I've always been deeply connected to Haiti's rich culture and resilient spirit. My journey led me to earn a PhD in international conflict management, where I focused on the return migration experience of first and second generation Haitian immigrants from the United States. This research opened my eyes to the profound personal stories of those who made the courageous decision to return to Haiti, stories filled with hope, challenges, and unwavering commitment. In this series, we delve into the lives of individuals who have embarked on this journey back to their ancestral homeland. Through their narratives, we aim to uncover the motivations, struggles, and triumphs that define the return migration experience. Our goal is to provide a platform for these voices, offering insights that challenge misconceptions and highlight the complexities of reintegration. Whether you're a part of the Haitian diaspora, interested in global migration, or passionate about development in Haiti, this series is for you. Together, let's explore what it truly means to return home and contribute to the ongoing story of Haiti's resilience and growth. Thank you for joining us on this journey.
At the National Alliance for the Advancement of Haitian Professionals, your support makes a difference. Every donation helps us empower Haitian professionals, strengthen our global community, and invest in the next generation of leaders. Scan the QR code or visit nhpusa.org/donate to give today. Merci en pile. Thank you for standing with us.
All right. Good evening, afternoon, morning to wherever you are logging in. My name is Dr. Semline Singleton, and I have the pleasure of hosting a virtual series about people's journeys to Haiti or back to Haiti. And I'm excited to be here with our first guest. But before that, I kind of want to talk about how this conversation came to be and why I was interested in doing this topic. I started in my PhD program. It was so many topics I could have garnered from, but I believe there was a time, I think it's not even in 2020 or even in 2021, the assassination of our former president in Haiti. There was a lot of talks about like what's next. And then with the Black Lives Matter movement, you see huge Blackxit happening in the United States. And I was like, well, why can't I write about what are Haitian Americans in the United States doing? Are they going back to Haiti? Are they exploring that option? And so that's kind of how my dissertation topic came about. And so today and through the series, you'll have the opportunity to kind of hear on individuals' return migration experience, not only from first generation, so those who are born in Haiti and came to the U.S., but those who are children of parents who were born in Haiti and came to the U.S., and they too are doing the journey back to Haiti. And so goals is to just share some of my findings, but also hear the stories of what the experience was like. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Dorothy Jean, who is a former high school teacher from Texas and now living in Cap-Haitian Haiti. And for most of her life, she dreamed of living in another country, but never fully believed it would happen. Haiti, in particular, always felt like an idea that she could entertain, but not in a reality that she could achieve. Her parents are from Cap-Haitian, but growing up, they rarely visited. Haiti was a place they came from, but it had little to do with them. That all changed when her parents reached their 50s and began reflecting on their retirement plans, and they realized that home wasn't where they had spent most of their lives, but in Haiti. So they made the decision to retire, and which sparked her own travels to Haiti. And her parents started investing in Haiti and started building a life in Haiti. And so she started to understand it too. And it wasn't long before it started to make sense to her, and she started transitioning from Texas to Haiti. So I want her to share her story out of some of the questions that I'll be asking. But without further ado, we thank you, Dorothy, for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Very excited conversation. And I know previously we had time to chat before, but this is much more relaxed.
Yeah.
And as I go through some of the questions, it's going to be broken down to kind of like three parts, kind of get some background information and you and your journey. And I kind of shared it through your bio, but kind of tell us first, what diaspora category do you identify with? So I talk about first generation, those who were born in Haiti, and those who were born in the United States, but they're considered second generation Haitian immigrants. Kind of give us your background of your upbringing, where you were born, and like how did you live as a second generation immigrant?
Okay, so I've always said first generation, but I guess I'm second generation. I was born and raised here in the States, in the South, so Houston, Louisiana, and I've spent most of my experiences here in the South. I had a very much upbringing immersed in Black American culture. So not only was my upbringing not really visiting Haiti, it wasn't until I really got to college that I even started to identify like with, just being Haitian and what that meant for me and what that meant for my future. So that was my experience. And it wasn't until later on too, I started to travel to Haiti.
And so to kind of tell us, so you said you didn't, you know, the upbringing was around Black American culture. So kind of where did that start of your curiosity more so to get more and more connected to your Haitian roots? Were you involved in different organizations? Was it church and things like that? Kind of expound on that a little bit.
So my experience outside of the home was very much American, Black American. I went to an HBCU for my undergraduate degree. And so that was my experience outside of the home. And then in the home, I knew I was Haitian. I grew up eating Haitian food. My Haitian grandma raised us in the home. I went to a Haitian church for a large portion of my teenage years. And so and then when we got to Houston, I was part of a nonprofit organization called Houston Haitians United. So that was my first experience really interacting with other Haitians was through church and that organization. So my desire to even be involved in the possibility of going back to Haiti really just happened over time. I think my college experience at an HBCU really made me understand the differences within the diaspora and the beauty of that as well, because that was my first time in an all Black space where I met lots of Black people and really understanding that, wow, there's so much like diversity within the community, meeting people from everywhere who had very strong roots, very strong confidence in where they were from. They knew about their culture. And here I was Haitian, and people would always be so interested when they're like, oh, you're Haitian, or they would ask because of my last name, which is pronounced like Jean. They would ask me questions, and I found myself in a space where I was constantly being asked about Haiti and seeing the opportunity to educate people on Haiti and Haitian culture without really having had done that process myself. So it started like that, where it's like, okay, now that in college, now that I know, like, okay, I'm Haitian American, okay, now I need to really know what that means and how do I share that culture with people. And so that's how it started slowly. And then the move to Haiti, even when I was thinking about moving internationally, that was just a thought, but not something I was actively like seeking, like, oh, I'm moving internationally. Haiti wasn't even on my list of realities. Like it was in the back of my mind, like, oh, that would be cool. But it's like, could that really happen?
Yeah, this is so good. And we'll get into the nitty gritty of your everyday life in Haiti, because y'all, she's in Haiti right now doing this interview. Just want you all to know. So yes, I love how you said like through college, which I hear this. There's this theme, of course, through my research that I found that a lot of discovery, especially for a lot of us who are born of Haitian parents in the United States, get a lot of our experience, outside of the home in college. Like we join groups, like I was part of different Haitian groups as well, dance groups as well. And so that's how kind of we get closer to our roots outside of the home, because obviously we're not in Haiti, but we have found a connection where we went in college. So let's talk about the very beginning phases. In your bio, I kind of touched on like your parents had this idea of retirement. And so they're like, we're going to Haiti. Tell us about that beginning process of when you were like, well, let me see what's going on, and how were those visits, and what kind of made you fall in love with I think I want to stay here a little longer.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So like so many children of migrants, there's that house that's being built in Haiti for so many years. There's this house being built, this magical house that none of us have seen, this secret house. And one year the house was, ready to receive people. So that's how that first trip happened, was to go see the house that they were building in Haiti. And they're from Cape Haitian, so we had, spent 2 weeks in Haiti. Just a, typical family vacation, seeing a lot of family, finally getting to see Cape Haitian, finally getting to see the house. And that was great. And then after that first year, everybody, because not only did my immediate family go, but a lot of their siblings went and their kids. So it just became that spot that everybody was returning home. This was the conversation. So everyone wanted to go back every year. So after 2-3 years of that, there was an event being hosted in Cape Haitian. It was an innovative summit. It was an innovative tourism summit. I think it was the name of it. It was tourism innovation summit, something like that. And it was happening around one of the times where we would be visiting. And I told my sister, I was like, we're always here just as tourists and just as people visiting, going to eat, coming back, going to the beach, coming back, but not really integrating in the community or really seeing what the community has to offer. And so we went to this tourism summit where there had lots of different companies and organizations that work, and they were talking, and I was like, and I realized that there were a lot of tourism summit, and I was surprised to see that there were a lot of other people from the States, a lot of Haitian Americans that were entrepreneurs in Haiti, that were entrepreneurs in OCAP. The tourism was held in large part in English, so that was surprising to me as well. And that was when the first inspiration, I was like, oh wow, like a lot of other people that who too were, in and out of the States and Haitian American. And that's when the ideal really started to develop in my mind, that this could be something I do. But even at that time, I was not an entrepreneur yet. I was a teacher. So even though that ideal started to form in my mind, I still couldn't see how work-wise, I was like, how do I make this happen financially? What would I do here? Because everyone else at this event, had some sort of foundation in OCAP, some sort of foundation in Haiti, whether it's a family business, something that they were building or creating, or, they were just already entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And so that became the first kind of hurdle, okay, how do I do that? And then, like I said, my parents had been investing with their own house. They had built a few apartment buildings, but everything was just in that way where it's they're building, but they don't live in Haiti. And so things are being done, things have potential, but they're, no one's taking it to the next level. So they had a few apartment buildings. And when I say apartment buildings, buildings with 3 apartments in it, they had 2 of those. And so I had a cousin with me oh, those could be Airbnb. And I'm like, they could, so just we're starting to kind of have the conversation, but still no one's really entertaining these conversations. They're just conversations being had. But my parents also, who were the ones investing, also did not seem to have a full vision of what they were doing. They were just doing. And I feel like I meet a lot of kind of Haitians that do that too. They just build with no real end goal, which is why I also like to encourage young people too, who have parents that are building, because they might not have the full vision, but you being their child, you might be able to complete that vision for them. So that's really interesting too. So they had all this stuff that had potential, but no planned. And then one day they purchased the school building with the attempt to want to start a school, nonprofit, and things like that. And once we got to the point where I realized, I'm like, okay, you guys have apartments, you guys have a school building, you guys have a foundation that I can build on. And they're still not in Haiti yet. They were not ready to fully retire yet. And I was like, it's at that point where you guys need to have somebody here. And I jokingly said, I can be that person. I was joking, but I wasn't at the same time. I just wasn't sure how I was going to be received. And my mom was immediately, no, you're not living in Haiti. And my dad was, it's the light bulb went on. He was like, yes, actually, yes. It's like he had never thought about it. And he was really excited. And that's how it happened. It was through that we started to have the conversation of me moving, and I almost immediately moved afterwards. After my parents gave the green light, I immediately moved. That was a December, and when I saw that they were interested, I immediately moved in January. Now, one thing I like to share people, because people like, people don't want to ask about finances, but it's kind of like a major part too if people are leaving. So my parents did commit to paying me off my salary. My dad was like, I'll match your salary if you stick to it. And but they were like, after that you need to figure it out. So the first year was really me trying to figure out how to make this real. So
Yeah.
even the first year didn't feel real. It was kind of like, I need to figure out how to earn. So yeah, so that's how I ended up getting to Haiti. Was they I said I would stay, manage everything, figure everything out, kind of build a foundation. And they committed to helping me out that first year, paying me a salary the first year. And that's how I ended up getting to Haiti. And that first year was pretty much my year of discovery. Like, how do I make this work? How do I create a life? So for the first year, though I was there, it really didn't feel like real. It almost felt like an intern year. Like, okay, let me figure this out.
Yeah.
um I learned that feeling doesn't necessarily go away. After years in Haiti, you kind of spend multiple years just wondering, like, can I really do this? Is this really happening? But that's how I ended up getting there.
Okay, and this is good. Because I often see on like Linear Suite or all these pages, and I just read the question like, how can I make the transition back and things like that. And so it's really good that you talked about that financial aspect. And we can now we're in Haiti. You're in the year. And let's kind of talk through some transitions and getting acclimated to the area because I know life in Haiti is not like life in the United States. So we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's dive in a little deeper about like your day-to-day maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
food, electricity, transportation. What is that like? What is that transition like? And then how is that like now where you're living?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's really, really rough. Like, it's different in a lot of ways. And I it's rough. There's no way of saying that. Sometimes people talk about Haiti and it's like they're trying to sugarcoat it. It's like you don't want to put it all out there, but it's a rough transition. So as far as like home, thankfully the house, my family home, the foundation was already set. As you know, everything in Haiti pretty much you do for yourself. You supply everything in OCAP in the surrounding Cap Haitian area. I'm not sure for other parts, but you provide everything. So if you want electricity, you're providing your own solar panel system, so that that check. You want hot water, you want air conditioning, all these things can be provided. You just have to buy them, have someone install it, and it's there. So as far as my home, it pretty much resembled the States. There are internet providers in Cape Haitian, so that wasn't a problem. And then Starlink ended up coming out last year. So now we have Starlink in OCOP, and that's great. So my home was like my sanctuary. Home was not a problem. Now leaving the house, I had to get used to the lack of convenience of grocery stores. And it's interesting because the part that a lot of locals, like people that are from the island, love is going home, and they always talk about how fresh the food is, how like they enjoy that process of going to the market, of going street shopping. Like, they find so much joy. I've had people come visit me and it's like they want to do that. Like, let's go to the marché. And me coming from the States, so used to a grocery store, that was something I definitely had to get used to. And till this day, I don't necessarily like going to the market. It's like the aspect of, I can't just run by on my way home and pick up a pack of chicken for dinner tonight. Like, I have to have already been prepared. Okay, I'm going to the market, because markets are not super convenient. The better ones are in town, and you have to park. There's not a lot of street parking in OCOP. So all these little things, just, they caused me a lot of stress personally, because like the road conditions are already different, right? The roads aren't paved. So you're getting used to driving. Then you're getting used to there not being organized when you're going places. So it's like, okay, if I'm going over here up to the right, like, where am I parking? I'm parking way to the left. And it's just a lot of things that you're having to maneuver. So that was like my eating process. And then, so what I did personally, I had someone that helped me. She would go to the market for me, because I just could not get used to it. And because I'm also used to things, just picking up what you find in the store and just assuming it's safe, right? In Haiti, it's just a different culture. You can't buy meat from anyone. You can't buy anything anywhere. And there's a lot of, um, safety issues. There's a lot of mystical issues. There's just a lot of different things that just made me like, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to do this at all. And then also the social aspect of people in OCOP and just Haiti, they like to stare. And that was something that I personally had to get used to a lot too. It's like, okay, I come, I park my car, and I'm just walking into the market. It's not that simple. From the time I park my car, there's 2, 3 people talking to me, saying whatever they're saying, randomly talking to me, randomly saying something to me, randomly yelling to me about my tire is not properly, just little things. And then you go into the market and there's people talking to you. There's people, trying to get your attention. There's just a lot.
Yeah.
Highly stimulating experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that till I will say that took a major adjustment, an adjustment that I still have not made till this day. So I had someone work for me. She would grocery shop for me once a week, and then she would like prep my meats and things like that, and then I would just cook for myself throughout the week.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because some things that we do here, I know there's going to be probably questions maybe that pops up in comments that pops up is like, we are talking about living in the United States where some of these luxuries are provided, but also on the flip side, I hear there's another luxury that we don't consider here. Like, we don't get to what if we were to, we do have DoorDash and things like that. So I always talk about, people be like, well, they got maids and stuff. Well, no, think about it. We got DoorDash. And so consider when we have, because my mom goes back often. And so consider if she has somebody go to market and come back with her food, consider it's like DoorDash or Instacart. And I try to, when I talk to people about this, I try to reframe their minds about, I don't think it's about privilege more so. It's about systems are different.
Yeah.
But we work the systems that we, just like here, we work the systems that we have, and we work with it to benefit our needs. And so I do appreciate you sharing that perspective. And it's different. And so if you can answer this question, now that you're living in Haiti, do you believe that it's sustainable long term for you? Do you foresee yourself coming back? And it's 3 parts. Is it sustainable? Do you foresee yourself coming back? Or does taking a vacation away kind of refuel your, okay, I'm staying again?
It is sustainable to me because I want to be there and I want to make it work. I think about this conversation. So I'm unmarried right now. I don't have children. And so I think about this question often because I am dating, and, we are dating for marriage and things like that. And I ask, and he's Haitian. And so I ask myself all the time, like, is today's yes? Like, is it tomorrow's yes? Is it yes when you have kids? Is it yes if you're pregnant? Is it, and that part, unfortunately, we're not ready. In my opinion, we are not ready for that level of sustainability, because there's always that tether to the States. There has to be, because we just don't have enough infrastructure. Unfortunately, we don't have enough activities. Unfortunately, I think about that. My cousin just had a baby, and I'm like, what do kids do? Where there's no dance studios, there's no funplex, there's no, there's just not a lot. So I think about that from that perspective. But then, there's the other perspective of, you can create that. You can create a life, for your children within your community, so it just requires a little bit more extra effort to create a life that's still going to feel fulfilling to you and your family. But my biggest thing is more so health, the lack of a healthcare system. Personally, that is still my biggest tether. It's, sometimes you don't necessarily know what's wrong. I feel like with the basic things, like maybe you're diabetic or you have high blood pressure, you have the things that we're already used to, that's kind of cross-cultural, then yes, you can have that handle. But if maybe you're feeling something that you don't know what it is, you know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of places to go in OCOP to get answers for those type of things. And so that's the tether. That's the biggest tether. Everything else is more, you can make it work if you want. It's personal preference.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I have to come to the States, honestly. I come because I'm American, and, I'm always going to have that tether because my family's in the States. My friends are in the States. I'm American, so there's always that tether. But it doesn't have to be if you don't need it to be.
Yeah, yeah. And so, moving on into the thick, or like returning, affecting you in everyday life. Like, let's talk about some of the benefits that you found. And we can talk deeply about benefits. Like, when I say health benefits, mental health benefits, what are those? When I'm thinking about some of the issues that goes on here, this fast-paced capitalistic society in the United States, what are the benefits of moving to a country that we know it's much more slower?
Yeah.
Benefits of growing your own food, things like that. Talk through some of the good benefits that you have found yourself in while living in Haiti.
It's so much more peaceful. It's so interesting because people look on the news and it's like Haiti's chaotic, and I'm not going to downplay that because what's going on in Port-au-Prince is chaotic, and it's and it's unfortunate. But outside of that, it's so much more peaceful. Things that and this is coming from a new entrepreneur. Like I thought I had more stress like on the in the area of like finances, bills, life, like day to day, when I was working a good steady job in the States with zero to no, very little, with little bills, in comparison to now being fully responsible for my finances, fully responsible for my life and insurance and everything, fully responsible. There's still just that peace in Haiti where you just know nothing's that serious. Like being, nothing's that serious, nothing's that stressful. And I'm always very much calm in Haiti. People say that all the time. They're like, "Oh, you were meant to be there. You're so calm." But it's like the environment just calls on that calmness. Everyone around you is calm. Everyone around you, they might be, they might be up and, high energy for a little moment, get a little quick little argument, and then everybody's back to calmness. Nothing is that serious. It just grounds you a lot more. You think about, you realize how much you can do for yourself. You don't have money to eat, and you realize, well, if I plant, like I have a garden too, a small garden, and it's like we can plant beans, black beans, and they'll be ready in like 3 months. And I'll have a black beans for like the rest of the year just based on that one effort. You have animals, chickens, things like that. You just realize that I don't have to accept this right now. If I'm hungry, I don't have to accept that. If I don't have this, I don't have to accept that. You just feel empowered. Even through the struggle, you still feel empowered to create for yourself. And because it's a slower pace environment, and a lot of people there are very much working class, very much what we would consider be below the poverty line. There's just there's you're not forced to buy things that you don't need. You don't see that overconsumption. Like people, what you need is what you will find. If you need one packet of ketchup, you will find one packet of ketchup. You don't have to buy the big Costco, $20 pack of ketchup. Like I like that because it creates that day to day, like I just have to, even biblically, it's like, just worry about today.
Yeah.
Haiti is that place where you can worry about today and feel good and confident at the end of the day that I gave it my all. Everything's okay. I ate. I didn't die. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Or as sometimes I'll just step foot in the States as someone who doesn't even live in the States anymore, and there's just like a pile of things to do sometimes. It's like always something to do. And it just doesn't feel that way in Haiti,
Yeah, so good. I'm sure our audience are going to want to hear that, because most people, when they do Blaxit, outside of me researching not only those who Blaxit to Haiti, but those who Blaxit in other countries like Mexico and things like that, the narrative is often how much things slows down. Like your mind is not racing 24/7. Like I have this like a checklist all the time, and you're forced into this. Life is just way more than this checklist that I've created for myself, and I love that. Are there any personal experiences, interactions that help you shape your living experiences? So have you made friends? Do you go out? How do you have fun? Outside of your work and your entrepreneurial work, what are things that shape your living experiences in Haiti now?
Mm-hmm. Definitely my experiences and relationships with people. It's hard to separate for the longest time when I first got there, being, American and with that American capitalist mentality. Like I didn't want to be friends with people because most people I knew were through work. So it's like, no, I'm trying to keep that, professional, like boss employee relationship, or, owner tried. But those are the people in Haiti. With people don't work because it's not like the States in the sense of people work for you because they're waiting for their paycheck at the end of the week. People work for you because they believe in you. They work with you because they believe in you, because you can't pay them a livable wage. That's, you don't have it to give it sometimes. And I found myself in the beginning really thinking about that so much more. That's why like I didn't have like a maid, as people say, or certain things that like people thought it was crazy that I didn't have, because it's like in my mind I'm so stressed about it, like, oh no, I can't afford to do that, I can't afford to do that, because I can't afford to pay them. And a lot of people don't even show up for that. Some people have so little, like just so little opportunity that they believe in you, they're willing to work with you because they believe in you sometimes more than you believe in yourself. And so those relationships really uplift you. I feel like if it's been 3 years and I'm still in Haiti, it's definitely as a result of people around me that really believed in me, not believed in me because I'm American, not believed in me because they think I have money, not like they truly show up and want to work with you, like they want to build with you. And that's one thing I love about Haitian people and Haitians, is that they don't have a lot of job opportunities, but it's not that they don't want to work. And that's the misconception. You'll hear people say like, oh, they're lazy, like they don't want to work, like, and it's, there's just not a lot of opportunities. But when they find those opportunities, they are ride or die, they are loyal, they're, and you end up doing so much with those people. You end up working with those people because days are long in Haiti, you're trying to make it happen, and those are the people that you end up working with, you end up having fun with, you end up showing you the country, end up being your tour guide. So I find a lot of fulfillment in work, as a result of those people. And I don't see it in that same way, like, oh, at 5 o'clock, like my 9 to 5 goes off. It's like, no, I just spend my life with those people. And those are the people that have allowed it to be enjoyable. Because Haiti is not a place that you can really live alone, unlike the States where you can kind of create a life like as a single person or alone. And I don't really get the opportunity to feel alone with my community. And it's not necessarily a community of family, because people also sometimes think it's family. It's a combination, but a lot of people are just people that just showed up and they wanted to be, they wanted to be there and they wanted to support and they wanted to help me build.
That's good.
So for fun, I go out to eat, I go to the beach, it's the island that, I do things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Very jelly. It's cold right now and I'm yearning to be on the beach, but that's amazing. Now, we talked about some of the benefits, and of course, you touched a little bit on the challenges. What are some of the most challenges for you personally? I talked about sustainability, but how do you navigate through the challenges you have currently? For someone who wants to move or thinking about it, it's nice to hear like, how do you navigate the inconveniences, not being able to go to the nail salon? Do you travel to other departments to get what you need and things like that?
Mm-hmm. So you can navigate them, it becomes like a choice not to navigate them for me sometimes, but not because I can't. So like the nail salon things like that, there are nail salons in Okap. I may not go as often as I want because like I don't like to drive there, and so therefore like I might not want to take the drive to the one I want to go to. But when I plan ahead and say, hey, I ask a friend or family, can you go to the nail salon with me today? Not a problem. You'll someone will go with you. As far as like just other little things, everything in Haiti can be planned ahead as long as so when I know I have to go into town and handle things like, for example, just like going to like tax offices or just doing like more administrative things for like business, those things can be planned ahead. I'll just pick a day, pick someone that
You say
I'll
today?
just pick a day and then do everything I need to do and just get it done. And then the other little things, there is the DR. It used to be a little better when I first got there. When I first got there, the border wasn't as rigid as it is now. Now it's just, it's just kind of a political mess. And so that's not the option it used to be. But before, I would just travel to the DR for maybe like a weekend every couple of months, or Miami a weekend every couple of months. When I first got there, it was a little bit more reasonable. Now with the political situation of the country, traveling to those places, they can still be done. It's just an extra, an extra hassle.
Yeah.
But there's no inconvenience that can't be handled in Haiti. I think my thing as an American, we're so used to doing everything ourselves, and we're so used to just being able to do it on a whim. I'm just being able to pick today a random Thursday and go do this. Whereas like in Haiti, to really fight that feeling of inconvenience, you're going to have to plan ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good. And we're reaching closer to the end. and this is the advice and thoughts with others. So on this journey where people may find it impossible, we're hearing you, and you've done it, you're doing it. What are some encouragement you can leave with those who are thinking about it, or who are in the thick of the transition and just need a little bit of motivation to stick it out?
Hmm. Have faith. If you believe in God, that's definitely something that you should be leaning on. And outside of faith, just really not overthinking it. I know people that are in way better positions than me to do it. And they have like all these reasons why they can't. I didn't really have enough. I just decided and we did it. But it's a lot more doable than you realize. Once you get past the comforts that you feel like you're missing out on, like, oh, like not living in the States and what that might mean, or not living wherever you live, it's really not that difficult. I would say the biggest thing is just your finances. Just figure out how you're going to fund your life. That's really the biggest thing. Once you can figure out your finances, it could be the smallest of budgets. You can make it happen. Same thing as if I feel like it's same way as if you were moving anywhere else. You figure out your housing, your transportation, and your finances. I don't think it's any more complicated than that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Well, Dorothy, I really do thank you for being here, for taking the bold step, for showing people that some things that they deem impossible, like going back to Haiti, is possible. Also, teaching folks that Port-au-Prince is not the same as Cap Haitian, nor is Cap Haitian the same place as Delmas. Like, there are different departments, just like here. There's different states. There's east, west, north, south. And so, when we do talk about returning, sometimes people like, why Haiti? But it's much more complex than that. More geographically, I was like, I want people to start thinking how, just like in the United States, there's different, places like boundaries and borders and states and cities. Haiti is the same way. And so I thank you for sharing your story, and all I can hope for that when people do it, are you comfortable as people using you as reference? I'm not sure if you're on social media. Do you mind sharing? People can find you to see if you're sharing your story and how things are done day to day.
Yes. I have no problem with people reaching out to me at all. Honestly, people don't reach out as much as I would like. I love answering questions about Haiti because I do feel like it's so much more reasonable than we think sometimes. So yeah, they can find me on social media at Dorothy, and then I also have the journey.group, which I blog and talk about Haiti.
That's good. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next interview. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much.
Right.